YouTube? It's Knowledge of Self-Determination. Back at you guys with some more Donald Trump news. This is basically an interview from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and he offered a recommendation for Trump's travel ban. And basically, his recommendation is that it probably should get thrown in the trash. He had an interview on Face the Nation with John Dickerson, and and he basically expresses his non-support basically for Trump's travel ban, and with good reason, because he's specifically targeting Muslim countries, and that is, well, Schumer says that it's unconstitutional. Now, I know that there should not be any religious tests for any position within government, which is basically part of the Constitution that is constantly being overlooked and circumnavigated. Because as I understand it, in this country, you can't even be elected to any government position if you do not openly admit that you believe in any particular worldview. So I think that's I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in our government so far as that's concerned, because our Constitution is a constitution of a secular nation, not a Christian nation. Even though people in this country like to label this country as a Christian nation, really our Constitution was created for a secular nation. Anyway, I'm gonna just read some of this article, and I'll leave the link in the description. Quote, "I think he ought to throw it in the trash," end quote, Schumer said. Quote, "I think this executive order is so bad and so poison, and its genesis is so bad and terrible that he ought to just throw it in the trash can." Schumer gave 2 reasons. First reason, it doesn't really make us safer. It doesn't really focus on the areas where we really need to tighten up. Schumer said also, the second reason, the New York Democrat continued. Schumer said, and then the second reason the New York Democrat continued, is something called the Visa Waiver Program. It's very easy to come to America from countries that we've already regarded as friendly. There are, I think, 27 of them, Schumer continued. But these days, there are would-be terrorists who have infiltrated places like Belgium and France, and they could come into the country much more easily than someone who's a refugee from the 7 countries the president mentioned that needs real tightening up. A religious ban just goes against the American grain. We believe in immigrants in this country and don't believe in religious tests. And finally, it hurts us economically. So let's see. There was another portion that I wanted to actually read out loud. But anyway, the ban was basically blocked by federal courts. And see, and now, again, the founding fathers, I believe that they were all white supremacists because they were slave owners. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. However, I believe that the Constitution in itself actually is, when you look at it, when you look at what the Constitution is trying to accomplish, is actually a really good piece of work. And there are so many safeguards written into the Constitution so that government and people in government are constantly regulated by each other, that no one has complete anonymity within our government, including the president. He does not have complete anonymity, which is a great thing, because imagine if Donald Trump had complete anonymity to be able to do what he wanted. We'd be screwed right now, seriously. It looks like we're on the way to being that anyway, but we'd be screwed. We would be screwed. And I mean, a lot of what Trump is now Trump is, I think he's trying to team up with Japan, on this quote unquote, ballistic missile, launch outrage. I mean, now we know that Japan has had a thing for the Asian continent for quite some time. and they actually tried to conquer the entire Asian continent in the early 20th century. They invaded China, and they tried to invade China. Um, I'm sorry, I was very redundant. They invaded China and tried to conquer China, is what I should have said. And now Trump is trying to be in league with, is basically buddy buddy with Japanese and their prime minister. You know, whilst he is trying to entice a conflict with North Korea or with China via North Korea, and now the Japanese are coming into. I mean, it seemed like the same old seemed like the same old story over and over again. But I'm gonna continue on because I don't want to make this video but so long because I wanted to talk about this travel ban. And back to the countries, and I said in a previous video about the travel ban too. First off, the countries that he banned were in Africa and or the Middle East. These are places where there are a lot of dark and brown people. He did not ban Muslims from any European countries. He didn't ban any Muslims from European countries. And we know for a fact that there are terrorists in France, for instance, Belgium, for instance. We know that there are terrorists in these places. We know that. Look at what continues to happen in France. You know, there are Muslims in Turkey, and so I mean, so people can say, "Oh, it's not about Muslims. It's about terrorists." Oh, you're kind of lumping the two things together because you don't have to necessarily be a Muslim in order to be a terrorist. We have terrorists in this country, you know, particularly white supremacist groups, which are all over the country. They're everywhere in this country. And one of these days, I will, maybe even today, I will list all of the terrorists, the terrorist groups in this country. Um, Now back to the travel ban, but I don't know. What do you guys think about this and what Schumer has said about Trump and his travel ban being thrown in the trash? I think he is right. I think he's right. I think it should be tossed aside. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. Apologize for that. The comment made by the top Senate Democrat in an interview on Face the Nation with CBS's John Dickerson came in response to a question about the Trump administration looking to induce a new executive order similar to the travel ban for seven majority Muslim countries, blocked by the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Good thing that we have things like that in place. Good thing we have things like that in place. Because again, I believe that the way the Constitution was designed and written so that all forms of our government can constantly be basically policing each other form so that no one group or anybody in government amasses too much control and power. It is it's a good thing to have those kinds of checks and balances because again, look at what people like Donald Trump would do in the absence of that kind of a system. But what do you guys think about what Chuck Schumer said about throwing this travel ban in the trash? And do you guys agree with the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals by blocking the Muslim ban? Um, I don't know. I just don't think that Trump is really good for the country, and it shows more and more every day. But let me know what you guys think. So now it's self determination. I'm out. Peace.